Hey everyone, John Henry here, Slingshot Futures Trading Group, SSFTG. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is micro-vesting, or investing with very small portions over a long period of time. Also, another type of term for this is DCA, or dollar cost averaging. But this is more specifically designed for the crypto side of things. So keep that in mind as we're going through some of the material here. So the first tool that I use for this is Crypto.com, or the CRO coin or token. And there is a referral link for this. Now, with the referral link, here is the referral link, and I'll post it in the description below. But make sure that you use the referral code when you sign up. And when you sign up using the referral code, if you stake for a Ruby card or above, a Ruby card or above, you get $25 in CRO token for nothing, right? Now, Ruby card, what they're talking about is they have an in-house debit card. So on top of all of the small investments and small things, when you're ready to actually cash out and spend it, or if there's an emergency and you need access and you have to spend it, there's a way to do that. And with the Ruby card, you get percent back and all kinds of cool stuff. You can check out all the information on the Crypto.com link there. And again, the important thing here, make sure that you use the referral code if you're going to use it. Whether you use the referral code or not, Crypto.com is what I use personally. This isn't sponsored. I'm not getting any kickbacks from them. But the reason why I use them is because they allow incredibly small investment amounts, and you can use it with a debit card or a credit card. That in and of itself is fantastic because pretty much everywhere allows you to use debit cards and credit cards these days, but the fees are astronomically high on a lot of different exchanges and websites. But CRO, they actually offer a fairly reasonable rate that isn't going to blow your mind every time you go to check out with a certain coin. Now, the way that I use it is buying into the CRO token because I believe in the crypto platform, the Crypto.com platform, what they offer, and pretty much everything that they bring to the table, I'm a really big fan of. So I don't mind investing in the CRO token, but it's not limited to that. What I'm looking to do here, and why it's so important to use Crypto.com for this, or whatever other resource you have that allows really small increments of purchase. But I go in every single day with a certain batch of coins, or in this case, let's just use the CRO token by itself. We go into the CRO token, we buy literally $1 per day. That's it. Once we have it, we swap it over to the Crypto.com DeFi wallet, and then we stake those coins there, which usually have anywhere between a 9 and 11% APY, which is incredible, considering that you can claim your rewards literally seconds after you started staking your coins. So, I mean, they're made available to you immediately. There is a big setback, though, that you will run into if you're utilizing the DeFi side of the Crypto.com. They have locking periods. So when you use the DeFi wallet and you stake your coins, there's a 28-day unbonding period, which can really be a bummer. Now, that would be a bummer if this was, investing huge amounts of money over and over again, but that's not the point of this. And that's why it's so cool. It doesn't matter if it's bonded for 28 days, because we're literally putting in $1 a day over and over and over and over again. Now, if you think about this, that may not seem like a whole lot, right? But if we look at $1 a day at 11% interest, and I just looked at my app, I'm looking at my app right now, they have one that goes all the way up to 12.1. But let's look on the smaller side and just say 11%, right? Smaller side, 11%, that's insane, as banks just cry in a corner. So what we're looking at here with the crypto app is, let's say you buy over the course of a year. I'm not going to go dollar by dollar by dollar, even though technically they will compound within the year. Let's just use super easy math. 365 days in a year, and that's $1 a day, right? Pretty straightforward, and it's 11.1%. Again, I'm going underneath the top one that I saw, but times 1.11. So by the end of the year, after 1 year, again, compounding not including, but after 1 year, you will have had $405.15, roughly, or they're the equivalent of CRO, which may have gone up in value or down in value. The gains and losses of that are a personal weight. Again, I like the CRO platform, so it doesn't bother me. But when I'm looking at that at the end of the year, noting that my coins are accruing an 11% interest, well, this is only 1 year. Now think about this over the term of 30 years, because this initial 365, that doesn't go anywhere. It sits there accruing interest, accruing interest, accruing interest, and it starts compounding and compounding. So after 2 years, you've got, well, then you add another one to that, plus 365. We'll go over those in a minute. But the initial 365, now you're at 449, right? That's 2 years, or 3 after the initial one. But just for the sake of math, I've hit the button twice, so we'll just say 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So after 10 years, that $365 initially will have turned into $1,036. And that doesn't include the other 9 years along the way that you've been adding $365 to. So let's go a little bit longer term here. We're at 10 years now. Let's go out to 20 years, right? 20 years, that puts, well, for me at least, that would put me in my mid-50s or so. That's a pretty good age to start kicking back. So we'll look at the mid-50s, right? For me, your number may be a little bit different. Maybe you're looking for the 60s. Maybe you want to chill at 80. I don't know, whatever your thing is. But figure out how many years that you want to spread this over and make sure that it's long-term, if possible. Now, the more money you're able to invest, that's a completely and totally negligible amount, the better, because this number gets even better. But let's say here we're at 10 years, so 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So after 20 years, that initial 365, and let's not lose our numbers, right, turned into 2942. I'm not even going to include the decimals. I'm not even going to worry about those. Now, that's the first one, right? So this is the first year's investment. So out of the 20, we'll just say this is 20 and we'll count backward. Now, the next one is going to be another 365, but it's going to be 1 year less of interest, right? So 365 times 1.11, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That one is going to come in a little bit lower at 2388. Then you've got 18. And you can see where I'm going with this. So overall, if you continue this math on down the line over the long run on 20 years, investing $1 a day over the course of 20 years, you will have invested, right, 365 times 20. So your overall investment, if you continue down this list, which I'll do in a second, but I'm going to pause the video to fill this out, your initial overall investment would have been $7,300. Now remember that as we're going through this. Let me fill the rest of this out real quick. Okay, there we go. We got them all filled out, the magic of editing, right? So your initial investment would have been $7,300, but remember, all of these are accruing interest along the way. So I did mess up my math on the first one, so I modified that one a little bit down. It was 2,900. That was actually one extra. It's supposed to be 26. But aside from that, you start with the initial $365. But remember, the next year, that other $365 accrued interest, so now it's $405.15. Plus 449.71, plus 499.18, 554.09. You get the idea. And the longer they are able to stay in there, and I messed up my math, the longer they're able to stay in there, effectively, it overall creates a total income on all of them over the 20 years. There we go. A total of $23,426. So over the course of 20 years, you invested $7,300 and your return is $23,426. Now, remember, that does not include the appreciation or depreciation of the CRO token. I personally think it has a fantastic long-term future, so I don't have a problem with that. But let's say, as an example, that it even went up 5% from where it was currently. That whole number shifts up a dramatic amount because it's all compounding interest. So for every $1 a day over the course of 20 years, that's $23,426. But remember, for someone like me, I'm still relatively young. I'm in my 30s, and I don't plan on going into retirement until, the typical 60s, 70s, and retirement from what? I love what I do. But let's say, as an example, I'm looking to push this out an extra 10 years, and this is where things really start to shine. When you go from 20 years to 30 years, the numbers look nothing alike. So after doing a couple extra numbers on top of this, if you were to go another 10 years, so 30 years, which really is the same length as a mortgage, right? Your typical mortgage is 30 years, so same concept. You invest $1 a day, right? That's a total of $10,950 over the course of 30 years, which is $365 a day. Or a dollar a day, $365 a year. At 11.1% APY over the course of 30 years, it's an ROI of 663% at $72,629 for just $1. $1 a day for 30 years. So realistically, if you want to ramp that up, and you wanted to look at potentially retiring with $1 million, or maybe $5 million, or whatever your goal is, you just take that number and times it by however much you want to retire by, and you're good to go. So let's say, as an example, that you wanted to retire with, I don't know, let's say that you wanted to turn this into $250,000 and have some fun with it later on. Not necessarily retirement money, but something you can kind of have some fun with, and nobody's going to shake a stick at 250 grand, right? So 250,000 divided by 72,629. That means that you have to invest about $3 a day, $3.50. Literally $3.50 for 30 years. So that's the incredible power of compounding interest on something that's actually giving you an interest that's worth your time, right? You look at all these different banks and all these different places that have like 1%, 2%, maybe 3% if you're willing to deposit your life in $20 million on top of it, you know? It's just ridiculous what you get from banks compared to using something like a DeFi wallet, which everybody can use, for $1 a day over the course of 30 years, and you can turn that into $72,000. So over the course of 30 years, you basically bought a car, a really, really nice retirement car for $72,000 for $1 a day, right? And you can kind of look at it that way. It takes such a small amount every day to secure your long-term future. Why not do it? It's ridiculous not to. Hopefully you found this video useful and interesting, and something that will maybe hopefully open your eyes. I know a lot of younger generations, 30s, 20s, etc., we're not necessarily looking that far out, but let's be real here. To me, I'm looking at the crypto industry as something that's going to stay around. I don't think the crypto industry is going anywhere by the time I go into retirement other than up, or at least more widely spread. And if I'm buying a token that I believe is going to be around for the long run, then I also have to assume that that $72,000 or whatever is also appreciating in value just on the underlying asset. And remember, I'm doing this with CRO, but you can do this with whatever your coin of choice is. Different coins offer different interest rates, but still, this is a ridiculous opportunity that's open to everybody for $1 a day. Like, it just blows my mind, the potential that these kinds of things have, especially for our generation's future. So that's going to do it for this one. Like I said, hopefully you found it useful, interesting, and maybe something you can add to your tool belt. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And of course, as always, if you have a more detailed question that needs a little bit more answering, or maybe another topic for another video, shoot me a message via email, jhb@ssftg.com. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to y'all later. Thanks.